Yes, there are many who see the big lie, many more every day. Legions of people are opening their eyes and seeing the subterfuge, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the propagandizing, and the absolute lies coming out of the mainstream and alternative media. Guess what? I don't believe you. You know why? Because you blew your trust, and what happens then? All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 23rd of May, 2025. These are the WTF reports, and I'm your host, Dave Van Kleist. And yeah, I'm here with the audio receipts as usual. So if you want to call me wacko or whatever you want to, conspiracy theorist, right wing or left wing or whatever, I don't care. I've been there, done that, and wore out an entire wardrobe of T-shirts. So go ahead, have at it. But no, I'm here with evidence. Yeah, you're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, as they say. And there's so much to cover today. But first, I, of course, want to remind you that this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. And I was so pleased to have Linda Bamber on as a guest yesterday. And she and I had a good conversation, and we were talking about the frequencies and how the technology works. It's so important that people understand how frequencies are directly affecting your health. And that's why I encourage you, as always, to do your own research. Do it. Anyway, you'll find out that Tesla was right. Frequency is everything. And Royal Raymond Rife was able to take that technology and, make it available to the world. And Linda Bamber was able to miniaturize it and turn it into a little watch that you wear. Anyway, check out the Wave Watch on our website. Go to the TheWTFReports.com. Go to the sponsors page and check out the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, that said, I'm kind of pissed off today. I'm just so sick of the mainstream media lying to everybody. And I've been screaming about this for 3 decades. It's been going on, and it just doesn't stop. And unfortunately, you've all heard the term deer in the headlights. The American people, and indeed the people of the world, are the deer. And they're looking right at the headlights, but they're not getting out of the way. They're not doing anything. And this is so frustrating. Why won't people get off of their butts and get involved? Not until it directly affects you. I suppose that's what you have to wait. And, it's going on over there. It doesn't make any difference. Yeah. But when it happens to you, it's a whole different story. Well, I'm telling you, folks, it's happening to you. It's going on in real time, and most people are just, la, la, la. Oh, what's on TV tonight? Oh, yeah, did you see that basketball game last night? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they're the deer in the headlights. And I don't know, you can wake them and shake them and earthquake them, and they're still not going to wake up. But anyway, yeah, I'm a little bit on my soapbox today because we've been screaming about this stuff for so doggone long. The word frustration doesn't do it for me. But I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to get to today. And as I've been trying to remind everybody, the globalist agenda, the movers, the shakers, the policy makers, those unelected individuals at the World Economic Forum and the WHO and the UN and the EU and all of these 3-letter agencies like the CDC, you didn't elect any of these people. FDA, you didn't elect any of these people. No. We're not. Don't tell me that you're living in a democracy. We have to save the world for democracy. You guys have got your head stuck somewhere else. But anyway, I've got so many clips here, I don't even know where to start. Now, some of these I've played before, but they're worth repeating. But first, I'll tell you what. I'm going to start off. There was a nurse that got in her car, and she's a whistleblower. And she's basically telling it like it is. And you can snafu. You could say, nah, yeah, she's just one person. Listen to what's going on here, folks, as a direct result of the hokey pokey thingy dingy. Listen up.
Where should I start? Where do you want me to start? Right after the stabby jabby started?
Stabby jabby?
That's when we started seeing heart issues, kidney issues. Not only that, but diabetes issues. Patients that didn't have diabetes went up 75% in 2022. People that had diabetes and got schmovid, their diabetes is no longer under control anymore. They're on 2 and 3 different medications. That's just the beginning. The heart issues are out of control. We put so many heart consults out, we're now putting community veterans into the community because we don't have enough heart doctors to see them. The heart monitors that they're wearing, we don't even have enough of them. Let's see. Turbo cancers? Yeah, that too. Right after, along with the 2022 stuff, kidney issues were happening as well. Up the wazoo. Now, patients are having pneumonia recently in the last 4 months. I had a veteran today, 9 medications he's been on. Pneumonia's still there because they can't figure it out. You know how many he's had?
She's holding up her fingers. 9 medications.
And all the flu. They can't figure it out. The skin issues people are having, mind-blowing. Bleeding in the eye and on the back of the retina and the back of the eye, astonishing. Strokes, through the roof. They're having strokes in their eyes, in their brains, embolisms, pulmonary embolisms, you name it. You name it, I can tell you how much it has increased in just the hospital that I work at.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there because she goes on for at least another 2 or 3 minutes explaining all of these different problems that people are experiencing ever since they introduced the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. This is across the board. Now, I've got several other audio clips here. Let me see. I'll tell you what. Let's start with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. She just released this because it's all coming out, folks. It is all coming out. Here's Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Here she is.
Dr. Sherry Tenpenny from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm not in Cleveland, Ohio today, but this just came across my desk, and I had to get it out as fast as possible because you may not have seen it. I want to read you the headline. The European Court of Justice considers that doctors will be solely responsible for the consequences of COVID injections because they were free to refuse to inject. According to a ruling of the European Court of Justice, all healthcare professionals who urged or vaccinated you against COVID are civilly and criminally liable.
Whoa.
I've said since the beginning of COVID, all it would take would be 1 or 2 high-profile, well-placed malpractice insurance charging these doctors with murder when all the information started to come out about myocarditis, seizure disorders, the long list of neurological conditions, and the more than 1,200 conditions that Pfizer knew about before they released the COVID jabs. Now it's coming full circle, and it's about time, because there are still physicians who are insisting that your children get the COVID jabs, that pregnant women get the COVID jabs, and the elderly get the COVID jabs. A bioweapon with a known death rate to ostensibly protect against a infection that had at its height a death rate of 0.2%. It is time for this to stop. I hope that what is happening in Europe will transfer to America, and we will start to see a Nuremberg 2.0 happen soon.
Yes, a survival rate of 0.2% if you got COVID. And yet, they introduced the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy, and one after another, all of these maladies started showing up. Now, there's a doctor, Deborah Murtach, and she was addressing this issue, one malady after another. Listen to this.
Scientists are now confirming what many have long suspected. The COVID shots don't just impact your immune system, they can damage your brain and devastate mental health. And the evidence is overwhelming. A recent wave of studies have revealed shocking increases in ischemic strokes up 44%, hemorrhagic strokes up 50%, transient ischemic strokes or mini-strokes up 67%, myasthenia gravis, a debilitating autoimmune condition, up over 71%, Alzheimer's up 22%, cognitive impairment up nearly 138%, depression up over 68%, anxiety disorders up nearly 44%, and sleep disorders up over 93%, all linked to one thing: toxic spike protein accumulation and persistence in the brain. This isn't a conspiracy theory. These are documented, peer-reviewed research published studies by documented experts, including by epidemiologist Nicholas Holscher, who says using mRNA to hijack cells in various organ systems to produce a highly toxic spike protein that persists in the body for months or even years was one of the worst ideas in medical history. So what can you do? The good news is you don't have to sit back and accept this damage. You can protect yourself. First, stop exposing yourself to further risks. Second, support your body's natural detoxification pathways. And third, ensure your diet is anti-inflammatory and is supporting mitochondrial health.
Yep, one after another. Yep, all of these different maladies and problems are exploding across the board because of these spike proteins. Now, you just heard some of the percentages of the increases of problems. There's a Dr. Kim Bliss. I shared this the other day. It is definitely worth repeating. This is Dr. Kimberly Bliss. Listen to what she had to say.
Now that people are getting the documents from the trials, there were bad outcomes, and the miscarriage rate was 80% in the Pfizer trials. They knew that.
Okay, pause. Did you hear that? Miscarriages are up. What was it? Let's listen to that again. Let's listen to it again. I want to make sure we
from the trials, there were bad outcomes, and the miscarriage rate was 80%.
80%.
The Pfizer trials, they knew that.
Dr. Kimberly Biss is a board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist. She's grown her Florida private practice to a 5-provider group that delivers roughly 300 babies a year. Once the COVID-19 genetic vaccines rolled out in 2021, she observed some disturbing trends in her patients.
I noticed that my miscarriage rate from year to year had gone up by 100%.
She began tracking and comparing her data in real time and made waves when she published her findings on Dr. Jessica Rose's Substack in 2022.
A lot of medical schools, over 50 to 60% of their money probably comes from big pharma.
Yeah, the money comes from big pharma. And again, folks, the globalist agenda is to eliminate a huge number of people. It's population reduction, not population management. It's reduction. They want to eliminate people, huge numbers of people. And how are they doing this? Yeah, they're making you sick. Yeah, that's one way. And miscarriages way up. And let me see, remember this one. This is Dr. Arne Burkhardt. And he gave this presentation, I think it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And unfortunately, shortly after he gave this presentation, he was unalived in an automobile accident. I wonder how that happened. Here's Dr. Arne Burkhardt.
More or less explicitly, and here you see a case where we show the testes, and you can see that in this 28-year-old man who had a healthy son and who died 140 days after injection, the spike protein is strongly expressed in the spermatogenic organ in the testis, and you can see there are almost no spermatocytes in here, but it's strongly expression of spike protein in the spermatogonic tissue.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. I watched this presentation. I took the audio from a video. He was obviously disturbed by this. And at one point, his voice he gets a little choked up. And I could understand why. This is horrendous what's going on.
So also in elder person. This is an old man, and you can see here's also a strong expression in the spermatogonia. There's not one single spermatozoon in this, and a strong expression of the spike protein.
Okay, I'm going to pause it again. The spike protein has replaced the spermatozoa. Do you understand what that means? That means that men who have got the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy with the spike proteins, they can no longer have kids. But you know what? But wait, there's more. Oh, I shouldn't have hit that button.
You can see here's also a strong expression in the spermatogonia. There's not one single spermatozoon in this, and a strong expression of the spike protein.
Okay, listen to this.
So if I may make a personal comment, this is not a scientific comment. If I were a woman in fertile age, I would not plan a motherhood from a man who has been vaccinated, unless...
That's sad.
I think these pictures are very disturbing, very disturbing.
Yes, indeed they are. Indeed they are. And anybody with functioning gray matter strategically placed between their ears will understand the dire situation that humanity faces right now. And people have got to wake up. For the love of God and everything that's good in this world, people have got to start paying attention. And they should be out in the streets. I mean, when is it time to break out the pitchforks and torches and storm the castle? You know, and it's not just men who are being affected by this. Dr. Naomi Wolf was talking about these hokey-pokey thingy-dingies and the effect it has on women.
It's definitely evil. It's evil.
Oh, so evil. And like the worst part about it to me is how high up the knowledge went. Like since you and I last spoke, Pastor Dave, they're one of our lawyers FOIA'd, Freedom of Information Act, all the mentions of myocarditis in the White House, the Biden White House. And what we got, I think from a whistleblower, because they released quite a lot that they probably didn't have to release, was truly shocking. It was evidence, internal emails from 15 White House staffers, again, Biden staffers.
Oh, I somehow stopped that. I shouldn't have. Okay, there we go.
Including a form that surfaced the discussion to POTUS. So Biden himself may have known, or, Mrs. Biden, whoever was running the country in Biden's stead. Also, Dr. Walensky, Dr. Fauci, the head of HHS, the head of the FDA, they were all on, communicating in these emails. And what the substance was the Israeli Ministry of Health and a major pediatricians organization had been warning the White House that teenagers were having their hearts damaged from the injection, and that it wasn't safe for kids and young men. And instead of stopping everything, this was April of 2021, these emails show all these top officials freaking out about how to cover it up. And then the conclusion is a 17-page script, which is completely redacted. Senator Johnson now is trying to unredact those 17 pages. But that script is a script that they used, you may remember, for all summer and fall to lie about myocarditis, to say it was rare and mild and transient, which it isn't, and to proceed with a major PR campaign, including teen pop stars and teen influencers, to persuade parents to inject their teenage kids and, persuade college students to get the injection. So it's criminal. I mean, one of my own loved ones, was mandated by an Ivy League school like 3 times to get this injection after the White House knew that it was going to damage the hearts of young men, particularly. So it's beyond criminal.
Yes, it is. And the Biden administration knew it. They knew it. And the media knew it. In other words, this is intentional, folks. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. Let me see. There's another one. Let me see. Dr. Okay, Pierre Cory. Dr. Pierre Cory, listen what he had to say.
As a lifelong doctor, if there was one thing you could change, if there was one institution, policy, practice, thing that you've seen in the industry over your career that you would change, what would it be?
Okay, I had to pause it there. That's Royce White. He has a podcast, and so he was asking the question. And now we hear from Dr. Pierre Cory.
I would dismantle the whole vaccine apparatus. I think for several reasons. I think that they're destroying the health of our children and our country. Do you know what it's like for a family to have an autistic kid who's nonverbal? Their entire lives are altered from that moment forth. I have patients who have vaccine-injured autistic kids who are totally dependent on them, even as adults. They know their kids will never leave the house. They need to be home all the time. Caring for someone like that is so destructive to not only the child's lives, the parents' lives, and there's many, many of them out there. That's just one little snippet of the vaccines. And number two, like I said, they're unnecessary. They're built on myths. And the illnesses that are exploding, like this chronic disease epidemic that Bobby talks about, a lot of us talk about, yeah, there's other causes, right? Our food is getting polluted, our food additives, agriculture, pesticides, but vaccine's a huge one. And I know the data. Unvaccinated children are far, far healthier than others. And then, so what would someone scream at me when I say that? They were like, oh, you want a child to die from measles? I'm like, are you kidding me? You know how many kids die from measles? It's extremely rare. They'll tell me if we get rid of the vaccines, it'll come up. Not true. That's not what drove all the measles epidemics in the past. That's number one. Number two, we have really good antivirals. I know of a few more, which you can talk about later on that I've discovered, but we have ways to treat those illnesses that you just don't need the vaccines. And I just think in terms of health, I am so angry for having been lied to for so long. The books that they write about vaccines are just false. They're false. And remember, the entire legislation in 1985 came about because the vaccine manufacturers threatened to stop manufacturing vaccines. Why? Because, and it's in the act in 1995, because they were deemed unavoidably unsafe.
Wow.
And they could not be liable anymore for all the injuries they were causing. So what happens is Congress gives them immunity. And what do? With that immunity, they explode our schedule and they're jabbing every kid and they're weaponizing. They're using legal mandates. You know, kids can't go to school in a lot of states and communities without getting fully vaccinated. And you know how many patients I have, family, like parents come to me to save their children. And in some states, if they come to me, I tell them, here are your options: homeschool or move. Not everyone's got the disposable cash to do those two things. They're working all day. They can't just decide to homeschool but many of them are brought to that decision point because they don't want their kids to get vaccinated. And so I got to tell you, I think that whole vaccine myth needs to be taken down slowly or quickly or somehow, but people need to educate themselves on that. And I include all of the doctors. And I would offer two books. One is Dissolving Illusions by Kathleen Humphreys, and the other one is a masterpiece of an academic work called Turtles All the Way Down, written by 5 anonymous Israeli scientists. And they so expertly go through the entire evidence base for vaccines, and it's a devastating conclusion that we've been lied to around vaccines for so long.
Yes, we've been lied to all of our lives. As he was pointing out, back in the 80s, the pharmaceutical companies were given immunity for vaccine injuries. And like he said, that gave them the green light, and they exploded with all these other vaccines, making them mandatory, putting out mandates, exploding the vaccine schedule for kids. They've been doing this on purpose. This is deliberate. This is not a mistake, folks. And you stop and think about it. What about those people that refuse to take the vaccines, whether it be a religious objection or whether it just be common sense? Well, there's a Dr. Stephen Kirsch who was testifying before Congress, and he brought up a particular group of people who never get vaccinated. I wonder who they could be.
The Amish are a perfect example of a large group of people who are largely unvaccinated. And there's we can't find an autistic kid who was unvaccinated. It's very, very rare in the Amish community, very, very rare. You won't find kids with ADD, with autoimmune disease, with panda pans, with epilepsy. You just don't find any of these chronic diseases in the Amish. And the U.S. government has been studying the Amish for decades, but there's never been a report out to the public. The reason, of course, is it would show that, if you don't follow our guidelines, you're going to end up healthier. That's why there's no report after decades of studying the Amish. There's no report because the report would be devastating to the narrative. It would show that the CDC has been harming the public for decades and saying nothing and burying all the data.
Yeah, that's the way it is, folks. No, now what else is it going to take? How loud do I have to blow the trumpet? How loud do we have to scream from the rooftops? How long do we have to scream from the rooftops? What's it going to take to get everybody to understand that we conspiracy theorists are batting 1,000 for decades? But the mainstream media, no, they're going to lie. That's what they do. And I don't care, if you're conservative and you think you're getting the truth, if you're watching Newsmax or if you're watching, Real America's Voice, if you're watching, OAN, One America News Network, or, the other alternative conservative networks, you're being gaslit too. You're being lied to left and right, front, back, top, down, you name it. They're lying to you. And why are they lying to you? Could it possibly be bribery, coercion, blackmail? Yeah, maybe one of those three words is applicable. I don't know, folks. I don't know. I got to take a break here. Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now, the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. And you can get More Tank if you visit our website. We humbly request that you do so. TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and it'll take you right down to Get More Tank. You can visit their website, GetMoreTank.com. All the technical data is there. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. If you drive a vehicle, whether it be gasoline or diesel, whether you're driving an SUV, a pickup truck, a sedan, whatever, the Get More Tank formula will improve your engine's performance. You'll have more power. The engine runs cleaner, and over a period of time, maybe 2 or 3 tanks of gas, you'll notice an increase in your mileage between 15 and 20%. Now, when you do the math, in one purchase, you're going to not just break even, but you come out ahead of the game. So this is a no-brainer. It's a win-win situation. Check it out, folks. GetMoreTank.com. If you decide to purchase, use the promo code REDPILL101. You'll get 10% off. And I'm telling you, you'll be glad that you did. Okay, I'm going to open up the phone lines. I still have a couple more clips and another issue that I want to get to. I'm so upset about just how badly we've been lied to. But if you want to call in, I'd love to hear from you. On a Friday, open up the lines. 215-867-8255. Give me a ring. 215-867-8255. Now, back onto this topic about the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. There was a doctor by the name of Dr. Joel Waalskog. He was an orthopedic surgeon. And he gave his testimony before Congress about what happened to him after one poke, one jab. Here it is.
I'm Joel Waalskog, a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, now medically disabled after 1 dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Before the pandemic, I enjoyed a successful practice in Wisconsin, performing over 800 major surgeries annually. Trusting my health authorities, my practice followed CDC COVID-19 guidelines, delaying surgeries, and even temporarily closing. I proudly elected to get vaccinated, and within a week, I developed leg weakness, numbness, substantial balance loss, leading to falls, including one while treating a patient. Diagnosed with transverse myelitis, a spinal cord lesion at T8, T9, I was stunned that my providers dismissed any vaccine link, despite news of similar cases halting the AstraZeneca trial in the UK. 4 years later, while I can walk, I have been diagnosed with dysautonomia and an undefined autoimmune disorder, both debilitating conditions affecting multiple body systems. I remain medically retired. The career I loved and worked so hard for is now gone. In 2021, federal health agencies assured Americans that the COVID-19 vaccine trials were rigorous and closely monitored with rigorous post-marketing surveillance. They also claimed a robust safety net that would handle what they said were rare and mostly mild injuries with monitoring, follow-up, and financial aid. After my own vaccine injury, I learned the hard way that nothing could be farther from the truth. In my own battle to restore my health, I could not find a single reliable source of information from the CDC, from the FDA, or the NIH. Further, answers did not come from medical teams, the media, or even medical journals. Rather, the answers were being pieced together by tens of thousands of vaccine-injured patients, huddled together in social media-based support groups who are constantly fighting for their right to simply exist. You will hear today a great deal about myocarditis, maternal fetal complications, and blood clotting disorders after the COVID-19 shots. I hope to talk more about the neurological adverse events to the COVID vaccines. These are the most common adverse event to the COVID shots. I am now co-chair of React 19, which is a national, science-based, non-political, nonprofit that represents over 36,000 Americans seriously injured by the COVID-19 shots. Our mission is to provide financial, physical, and emotional support. This gives me a unique perspective to share the collective experience of those who have been harmed, not just by the COVID-19 vaccines themselves, but also by the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's it. There's still another 3 minutes of his testimony, but I think you get the general idea. Now, in just this broadcast, I brought to you numerous doctors and health providers, a nurse. As a matter of fact, I got one more here I want to share with you. This is a woman, just a mom, and she's got 4 kids, and she posted on X her own experience on what happened with her 4 children. Okay, how much more do you folks need out there? What is it going to take to get people to get out in the streets? This is craziness. Here's a mom of 4 kids. Here's her testimony.
All right, my pro-vaxxers, I got a question for you. I have 3 fully unvaccinated kids and 1 that was vaccinated until she was 2, and then I quit. Why is it that my only vaccinated child is the one with the weakest immune system? This past week, they were all sick. Her fever lasted 4 days. All the other 3, 24 hours. Her cough has by far been the most severe out of the 4 of the kids. Guaranteed, if they all get sick, hers is going to be worse. She is the only child that is showing signs of seasonal allergies. None of the others do. Why is my vaccinated child the sickest out of all of my kids?
It's a good question. And you know what's really sad is that there are lots and lots of parents out there that believed they were doing the right thing by going off and getting their children vaccinated. And now all of this data is starting to come out, and they're in denial about it. They can't admit to themselves that they made a wrong choice. So there are a lot of people just going to dig their heels in and say, I believe the science, I believe in the vaccines, but knowing full well that in the back of their head, there's something wrong. But they can't face that because the guilt is going to be overwhelming for them. Can you imagine how it would be for a parent to all of a sudden realize that after getting their child vaccinated and boosted and all that their child is going to be facing all kinds of physical problems for the rest of their lives? That's a horrible thought, isn't it? Well, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Man, I tell you, it's a mess. We're in a real mess. But that's not the only mess. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change the topic. But first, I want to set the table by playing you a song that I wrote. Oh, gosh, I guess this got to be about 20 years ago, 18 years ago-ish, something like that. I'm going to play this, and if you want to call in while the song is playing, you're welcome to do so. 215-867-8255. Yeah, just cover up your eyes, plug your ears.
Go ahead and watch your show. Don't try to learn, don't try to know what's going on around you. Channel surf and watch your game a world away. It's not the same. The difference will astound you. Turn away, deny your fear, and believe it won't happen here. The news is too depressing, and the facts are too distressing. So look away, say it ain't so. Close off your mind so you won't know. Ignore the problems that need solving, and while your world's slowly dissolving, look away. While you're lying in your bed, don't think of all the people dead who were innocent of any crime. Another world, another time. Been convinced that you just won. There's not a thing you can get done, and so you live inside a bubble because you don't want any trouble. But there's so much we can get done, a million multiples of one. And when you see it all around you, what we accomplish will astound you. Your destiny depends on you. You'll be surprised what you can do, but you can never visualize if you don't open up your eyes. Open your eyes. And now the time has finally come. We can't be blind or deaf or dumb. It's our responsibility to look around and think and see. I know you're frightened, yes, you're scared, but we must all soon be prepared. Your greatest challenge is before you, and your survival will depend on the fact that you will never look away. Yes, your survival will depend on the fact that you will never look away. Don't look away, don't look away, don't look away. Don't look away, don't look away, don't look away. Don't look away, don't look away, don't look away. Don't look away, don't look away, don't look away. Don't look away, don't look away, please don't look away. Please don't look away.
Don't look away, folks. If you want to defeat the beast, you got to have the guts to stare him in the eyes. Don't look away, folks. Because as you look away, you're perpetuating the madness. We have to confront these monsters mano a mano. And you know what? There's a whole lot more of us than there are of them. Anyway, I'm going to change gears just a little bit because, of course, it's all in the news that anti-Semitism is on the rise. Everybody's hating on the Jews, and there's all this violence and stuff and all these protests at the colleges and universities, et cetera, and it's all because they hate Jews. It's all because of anti-Semitism. Well, I'm telling you, folks, This entire movement of hatred is a direct result of the mainstream media's subterfuge. They will not face the truth about what's going on in Israel. And the simple fact that a crazy group of individuals, megalomaniacs, I mean, we're talking about homicidal, crazy people, are doing horrible things in Gaza. That's why I was saying in that last song, don't think of all the people dead that are half a world away. I mean, how many children today were either sniped in the head, blown to bits, or starved to death over in Gaza? Now, you can say, oh, Dave, you support Hamas. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. It's got nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, there's the entire Israeli regime, they have wrapped themselves in the flag of Judaism, and therefore it's sort of like an impenetrable shield. You can't say anything against Bibi Netanyahu. You can't say anything against the genocide, and yes, it is genocide. And even Pierce Morgan had to admit that. But the Palestinians do have rights. As a matter of fact, there's a guy that posted some little tidbits of truth and some facts that maybe folks ought to hear about. Here they are.
Hey, hi, hello. This is just your friendly reminder that according to the UN Charter of 1948, UN General Assembly Resolution 2625 from 1970, Protocol 1, a 1977 amendment to the 1949 Geneva Convention, and UN General Assembly Resolution 38/17, the people of Palestine have a legal right to resist foreign occupation, apartheid, and genocide through any and all means at their disposal, including violent armed resistance. This is also your reminder that, according to these same statutes and laws, Israel, as the occupying force committing genocide, has no legal right to self-defense. You don't have to like and approve of Hamas or every single thing that they do to resist the genocide that is being inflicted against the Palestinian people. You do not have the right to dictate to them how they are allowed to resist, because legally and morally, they have the right to use any and all means at their disposal to resist this genocide.
That's right. And there are plenty of Jewish folks out there that are condemning the Israeli government that has been committing this genocide. And the mainstream media doesn't want you to be able to separate the two. There's a difference between the religious faith of Judaism and the political dogma of Zionism. People have to separate the two. It's not apples and oranges. It's, apples and adjustable wrenches. It's not the same issue. And there is a professor that was putting out that a plea. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Okay, let me see if this is the right clip. Here it is.
We are Holocaust and genocide scholars, and we're asking you, call your representatives and demand food aid for Gaza right now.
Okay, I'm going to pause this. Okay, this is not the clip I had. I thought I was having, but this is just fine. You're hearing from professors from Columbia University, Lehigh University, UCLA, Wake Forest, University of Illinois, and they're all putting out the plea for the love of God, will you wake up on what's going on over there in Gaza?
500,000 people in Gaza are in a catastrophic situation of hunger, acute malnutrition, starvation, illness, and death.
This is one of the world's worst hunger crises unfolding in real time. The images from Gaza are reminiscent of the gravest crimes of the last century.
Over 2 months ago, the Israeli government decided to impose a wide-scale blockade on all food and medical aid into Gaza. There's now widespread starvation. Parents in Gaza cannot feed their children. The UN's food pantries are empty. World Central Kitchen has run out of food.
Not only must Israel allow in the 3,000 trucks of food aid that are waiting at the border, Israel must end the war on Gaza. But it won't do so without international pressure.
Stop what you're doing and call your representative today. Demand that they uphold international norms and stop this genocide.
Those are all university professors putting out the plea to stop the genocide. Does that mean that they support Hamas? Does that mean that they're anti-Semites and they hate Jews? No. Any human being can see what the heck is going on here. And unfortunately, our mainstream media, and yes, that includes Newsmax and OAN and Real America's Voice and Next News Network and all the other networks out there that are screaming anti-Semitism, Jew-hating, protesters. No, they're not protesting against the Jewish faith. They're protesting against the murder of innocent men, women, and children who only want to survive. We all need food, shelter, clothing, and love. And they're being denied all of the above. It's madness. And, and if you support Israel, and because they have the right to defend themselves, defend themselves against what? The Palestinians don't have an army. They don't have tanks. They don't have an air force. They don't have a navy. They don't have doodly squat over there. And let's not forget that Hamas was created by Israel. Anyway, there's a Palestinian that was putting out a plea. You need to hear his side of the story. Here it is.
You are using the Star of David as a military symbol, as an icon of conquest. How is that my fault? There's a lot being said about anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, and I'm constantly reminded of my childhood. When I was young, my house was taken by settlers, and they happened to be Jewish. And it wasn't my fault that they were Jewish. They just happened to be Jewish. They decided to come and take our house and say our house was theirs by divine decree, because God said that the Jews owned the land. That is not my problem. That is not my fault. And I think this is a microcosm for the entirety of the settler state.
Jacob, this is not your house.
Yes, but if I go, you don't go back. So what's the problem? Why are you yelling at me? I didn't do this.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
This is a colonial enterprise that has decided willingly to desecrate and exploit Jewish symbols in favor of its settler project. And we are supposed to distance ourselves from that. If you are using the Star of David as a military symbol, as an icon of conquest, how is that my fault? If you are leveling neighborhoods to the grounds, then planting the Star of David in the middle of the neighborhood, if you are literally carving the Star of David in the faces of young Palestinian men, how are we supposed to distance ourselves from this conflation when this government is intentionally, explicitly, and institutionally conflating Judaism, the religion, with Zionism, a racist ideology? The burden and the responsibility of making the distinction does not fall on the oppressed. It does not fall on the colonized. When they are exploiting that conflation in their favor, this falls on them. Frankly, I am tired of watching bombs drop on people, watching people draw their last breaths, and having these images and scenery disrupted by requests that I condemn this, and I denounce that, and I rebuke this, and I rebuke that. It's absolutely incredible. It's crazy. The material systemic reality is that of physical, tangible subjugation, and yet we are talking about what is anti-Semitic and what is not anti-Semitic when Palestinians are being slaughtered. But this is so revealing about the West. It's revealing about the kind of psyche that holds so many people hostage. We are willing to look evil in the eye. We are willing to look violence in the eye and treat it as an everyday banality, right? Palestinians are robbed of their rights. Our homes are demolished. We do not have the freedom of movement to move from city to city. We are bombed into oblivion. All of that is tolerated, even celebrated, certainly financed by the world's superpowers, by the United States, by Britain. What does that say to us?
Yeah, by the way, they had a delegation of from 26 countries that went into a certain area of Gaza, and there was a planned route that they were going to take so that they could survey the damage. Well, unfortunately, they took a wrong turn, and they got shot at. Think about that. Okay, yeah, the Israelis, they don't want you to see what's going on. And I got to tell you, back in I think it was 94, 95, there was a news report, and they took their cameras onto a school bus, and they recorded these children, and they were singing a song. And they were all singing together. It wasn't like one kid singing it. They were all singing this song. And I'll have to translate, and I'll read the words here. Here they are. All the world hates the Arabs. And the main thing is to kill them one by one.
They might be
playing up to the camp. Okay, well, these songs are part of their regular repertoire. With these feet, I stepped on my enemy. With these teeth, I bit his skin. With these lips, I sucked his blood. I still haven't had enough revenge. This is what the kids are singing. These are what the Israeli children are taught at an early age. They are taught this. So how can we justify? I can't find the words. I can't. And we've got plenty of evidence that indicates that it is the Israelis, the IDF, that are committing these atrocities. Of course, you heard that, those Hamas, they were beheading babies. That was a lie. All of these stories about these atrocities that the Hamas, with their hostages that get released from Hamas, are telling people how well they were treated. But it's not that way in Israel. No. Israeli take Palestinians and they take them on as prisoners. But in Hamas, they're called hostages. They're just playing with your brain. And it is the Israelis that are the butchers here. And it's not that I hate Jews. No, there are plenty of Jews in this country that can see this. And they're being put in jeopardy because of the acts of Bibi Netanyahu and his regime. And I condemn Donald Trump and your entire cabinet and all of the media for painting this picture that anybody that protests against Bibi Netanyahu is a Jew-hating anti-Semite. That's horse hockey. As a matter of fact, give a listen to this. This is Bibi Netanyahu. You want to hear hypocrisy? Here it is.
These neo-Nazis, Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
What?
They don't want a Palestinian state. They want to destroy the Jewish state. They want to annihilate the Jewish people who've been in the land of Israel for 3,500 years.
That's two lies, right, one after another.
I could never understand how this simple truth evades the leaders of France, Britain, Canada, and others. They're now proposing to establish a Palestinian state and reward these murderers with the ultimate prize. Well, for 18 years, we had a de facto Palestinian state. It's called Gaza. And what did we get? Peace? No. We got the most savage slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust.
Horse hockey.
You won't be surprised to learn that Hamas thanked President Macron and Prime Minister Starmer and Carney for demanding that Israel end its war in Gaza immediately. Hamas was right to thank them, because by issuing their demand, replete with a threat of sanctions against Israel, not Hamas, these three leaders effectively said they want Hamas to remain in power.
Horse hockey.
They want Israel to stand down and accept that Hamas's army of mass murderers will survive.
Okay, wait a second. Mass murderers? Mass murderers? What? How many tens of thousands of children have died at your hands, Bibi? How many people are being starved to death at your hand, Bibi? And Donald Trump and your cabinet, you got blood on your hands.
Rebuild and repeat the October 7th massacre again and again and again.
Okay, October 7th. Keep bringing that up. I suggest everybody take a look at that documentary. The attack on Hamas on October 7th was 100% an inside job, and it was.
Because that's what Hamas has vowed to do. I say to President Macron, Prime Minister Carney, and Prime Minister Starmer, when mass murderers, rapists, baby killers, and kidnappers thank you, you're on the wrong side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity. And you're on the wrong side of history.
How can he say that with a straight face? I just don't understand it. And those people out there that are consuming this intellectual fecal matter, I just don't understand how people can stand by this. Anyway, it is unnerving, and I'm sorry to go off on this tangent today, but if somebody doesn't scream from the rooftops, and try to set the record straight, and try to, make sense out of this, I don't know. I don't know how to solve these problems. Anyway, all right, well, I'm here with the audio receipts, folks, and I'm sorry if it, the truth is a little bitter, but the only way, again, that we're going to defeat the monster is to have the guts to stare it in the eyes. Roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, get involved, scream from the rooftops, folks. All right, that's going to do it for this week's installment of the WTF Reports. I thank you and humbly request that you visit our website, the WTF Reports, and do business with our advertisers. That's how we keep the lights on here. Anyway, that's going to do it. Have a lovely weekend. God bless you all. Stay safe, and above all, stay free. God bless you all, and I'll see you Monday.
You won't